I've got a fresh batch of updates from some top XRP chart analysts in this latest hot jam. And yes, yesterday felt like the end of the world for some. Bears came crawling out of their caves all over social media, acting like it was their moment to shine. But let's be real, they're jumping the gun. We're not in a bear market. We're just not. Sure, the market dipped, but how many analysts have I shared with you over the last couple of weeks who said a pullback would actually be normal, even healthy? Maybe Bitcoin dips into the lower 100,000s. Maybe XRP edges closer to $2. Either way, this isn't the apocalypse, just the market taking a breather. So that's what went down yesterday. I'm not saying it's the bottom, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. Here's the thing. Actually, a couple of things. First off, it's downright entertaining to watch the bulls. They're so emotionally charged that their reactions shift with the wind. When the market aligns with their negativity, they flood social media basking in their rightness. But the second things swing the other way, poof, they vanish like smoke. Go scrolling and you'll find radio silence. Or even better, they start quietly deleting their old cringeworthy posts. Honestly, it's comedy gold. Absolutely adorable. This might surprise you, but it's completely normal and honestly pretty exciting. Many analysts are convinced that the best days are still ahead. One in particular has a bold take I'll share in this video. He predicts what he calls a biblical rise in XRP's future. Yes, that's a direct quote. He even compares today's XRP market to 2017, just before a 20x surge happened, and says the current setup looks eerily familiar. But before we dive deeper, let me be upfront. I'm not a financial expert, and this isn't financial advice. Please don't make any decisions to buy or sell based on what I say or write. Always do your own research. I'm just a crypto enthusiast who loves making YouTube videos about all things crypto. Nothing serious, just for fun. All right, let's dive in. As I'm recording this, it's 6:09 p.m. Central Time, Saturday, May 31st, 2025. XRP is sitting at $2.18, and Bitcoin, a jaw-dropping $104,776.00. Wild times, huh? Looking at XRP's 24-hour chart, it dipped as low as $2.09 and climbed up to $2.20, according to Live Coin Watch. Right now, it's hovering just below that. Perfectly normal stuff. And let's be real. How many analysts have been predicting this? I've been highlighting it for weeks. This was always a strong possibility. So no panic needed. Bitcoin saw a similar story, dropping briefly to $103,270.00 before bouncing back. This is the range Credible Crypto and others were predicting. Back when Bitcoin climbed to around $112,000.00, Credible Crypto flagged this as something to watch. At the time, people scoffed. $0,000, $112,000.00. What could go wrong? But as usual, his cautious insights often hit the mark. He didn't guarantee it, but he made it clear a pullback here would be normal, even healthy. And guess what? Bitcoin might even dip into the mid $90,000.00, a possibility the blockchain backer also highlighted. So there's no need to panic. Check this out, straight from chart analyst Tech Dev. He's saying, this isn't the top yet. Last night, as panic swept through the crypto space, yes, the end of the world chatter again, he shared this intriguing chart. It highlights the business cycle below and Bitcoin's performance in the middle. The yellow arrows, they point to Bitcoin following the same structural patterns as previous cycles, only this time the timeline is stretching out. His take, same story, just longer chapters. So patience is key. Tech Dev argues that it's way too soon to call this the peak. The business cycle, that's dragging out too, in his view. He's also among several analysts pointing to global liquidity as a major factor here. The message is clear. Nothing unusual is happening. This is just history taking its time. Now is not the time for fear. What we're seeing is completely normal, both historically and in terms of market trends. Don't just take my word for it. Countless chart analysts agree. Speaking of insights, I came across something intriguing from Crypto Insight UK's latest newsletter. Let me share a quick snippet with you. It's packed with valuable info, and I might dive deeper into it in a future video. Let's focus on the short-term outlook for now. A new update just dropped today, and there's an interesting section on XRP's short-term setup. It says, if there's a flush downward, XRP could dip to around $2. Here's the thing. When this was written, I'm almost certain the author was tracking XRP live. How do I know? Because they mentioned on social media that XRP hadn't quite hit that level yet. Now, whether XRP dips further from here in the short term is anyone's guess. But let's be real, even hitting $2.09 or slightly lower on some exchanges is already a big move worth keeping an eye on. He's one of the analysts who predicted this might happen, and he didn't just warn about it, he called it an exciting buying opportunity. Now, digging into the liquidity chart for XRP, there's a clear hot spot around the $2.00 mark. This is where liquidity is most concentrated on the short-term XRP chart. That doesn't guarantee we'll hit this zone, but if we don't, it raises some caution as prices move upward. Essentially, he's saying it would be great to clear out that negativity and erase any lingering bearish sentiment. A move like that could completely shift the narrative. I've heard analysts make that argument in countless scenarios. Sure, it's not mandatory, but it would definitely be a bonus. It gives you that extra confidence that when this finally breaks, it's the real deal. That's the point. Now, let's pair this with the inverse head and shoulders pattern I mentioned on X. If the right shoulder mirrors the depth of the left, we're looking at a potential move to the $2 mark. Clearing that level, that's the sweet spot I'm watching for. We don't necessarily have to hit that level, but if we do, I'd feel more confident about a move higher. It would clear out the local lows, likely triggering bearish sentiment on XRP among traders. A perfect setup for a reset before a potential surge, totally standard market behavior. Now, here's the kicker. He suggests that if Bitcoin pulls back to the $100,000 0 cents level, it wouldn't be surprising to see XRP follow and dip to the 20 cents mark. Plenty of analysts share this view, so coming close to that range isn't shocking. It doesn't change the bigger picture. On higher time frames, he's still convinced XRP is on track to hit double digits this cycle. Check this out. It's absolutely fascinating. Chart analyst Dom has been sharing updates in this thread, and it's worth following along. Here's the deal. He's analyzing the XRP USS oil pair, and once again, it nailed the exact local top. The range is still holding steady, and while a range might not sound thrilling at first, here's the kicker. It's consistently been a leading indicator for what happens with XRP USD, typically by a couple of weeks. How cool is that? This is why looking at alternative pairs can be such a game changer. XRP USD is following a similar pattern, and if this trend holds, it's like getting a sneak peek into what could happen next. If the range breaks, that'll be a major signal. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Our charting expert is on the same page here. He reposted this and added, once we break out on the top side, followed by wide-eyed emojis, talk about anticipation. The idea is that once XRP priced against US oil breaks above this key higher range, things could really heat up. He's pointing to that breakout moment as a potential game changer. And since XRP USD tends to follow, it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. Here's a post from chart analyst Cryptolica. This time it's XRP versus the entire crypto market, XRP/total. Always fascinating stuff. You can't miss how dramatically XRP broke out at the end of 2024. After years of underperforming the market, it was like a rocket launch. And let's be honest, that's why the XRP skeptics have been chanting, it's dead for so long. Take a look at how things have shifted when something is priced so poorly compared to the rest of the market. It often signals the bottom. History has shown this time and again. I've been saying this throughout 2024. And guess what? I was right. Not because I'm some kind of wizard or a chart expert, but because it's just plain common sense. And sure enough, XRP broke out. Why? Because it's strong, no longer held back by artificial constraints from the US government. With its fundamentals stronger than ever, it's been consolidating for nearly 6 months now. Hard to believe we're already about to hit June, right? Time flies. But the real kicker, that range is tightening and something big could be on the horizon. Check out this post by chart analyst Steph. She basically embodies crypto. Steph's calling the next move for XRP fantastic, pointing out we're stuck in a range. See this symmetrical triangle? The range is tightening, the trading zone is shrinking, and we all know what that means. Typically, breakouts happen before reaching the apex, so it's just a matter of when, not if. History says it's coming, and it's only a matter of time. Sure, consolidation isn't as thrilling as those wild price spikes, but it's an essential part of the journey. I can't help but feel excited because any day now I could wake up, dive into the latest updates, see what analysts are buzzing about, and find them saying, here we go, it's about to take off again. When the XRP chart analysts I follow start sounding the alarm in unison, they're almost always spot on. So I'm watching closely for that moment, and when it hits, you'll be the first to know. In other words, yeah, it's imminent. Take this post from chart analyst Cryptos, for example. XRP perfect bounce on diagonal support. He's optimistic about the short term, and big picture, zero doubts. He's never wavered. Just yesterday, chart analyst Zoom chimed in with another bold call, XRP $2.20 check. Sure, it was still dipping at the time. He's one of the analysts who deserves credit for sounding the alarm, warning that things could dip even lower. He pointed out that holding the $2.20 zone was crucial, but if XRP couldn't maintain that level, a drop to the $1.90, $2 range was highly likely. And guess what? It dipped pretty low. Is that the bottom? Honestly, it's hard to say right now. Maybe it is, maybe not. What's clear is that we came dangerously close, and I've got to hand it to those analysts who confidently predicted this possible downturn. It's not easy sticking to your guns when the internet is full of people yelling at you because, well, it's the internet. When you put opinions like that out there, the internet tends to explode. But I respect the intellectual honesty. Let's dig into this chart. Analyst JD shared an intriguing post featuring an XRP/USD chart. He points out that back in 2017, the relative strength index hit 0.786 before XRP skyrocketed over 20x, only to crash by 96%. Now, he suggests 2025 is shaping up to mirror 2017 with a potential biblical rise on the horizon, followed by a historic 90% crash. As for the crash, oh, it's coming. No doubt about that. Will it be a 90% drop? Maybe 80%, 75%, 95%. Who knows? What's certain is it's going to be huge. Whatever's coming, it's going to be huge. And the bigger it gets, the higher XRP will climb from where it stands now. Maybe not percentage wise exactly, but still a big moves ahead. We'll see what happens. Since we're talking percentages, let's focus on that. When it comes to gains, yeah, it's going to get wild. That's the beauty of bubble territory. It's what I'm waiting for. I want to see that bubble inflate, the euphoria kick in, and prices skyrocket to absurd level. You know the drill, people chasing green candles, FOMO taking over. It's human nature, and it always plays out the same way. It'll happen again, and I'm ready for it. I'll be here for the madness, and when it peaks, that's when I'm cashing out. That's exactly what I'm waiting for. I know it's going to take a nosedive after that, ushering in a bear market, and that's when I'll strike. When the price drops, I'm absolutely diving back into XRP. This strategy just makes sense. Take a look at what he's showing here, the RSI candlestick oscillator. He's pointing out July 2017, highlighting a 20x plus move after the RSI candlestick indicator hit twice, and now he's comparing that to where we are in 2025. He says the current setup looks eerily similar to the 2017 move right before that explosive 20x plus rally. We've only hit 3786 once so far, but all signs point to history repeating itself. Everything's aligning perfectly. No single metric seals the deal, but isn't it all coming together in a way that screams opportunity? These are the patterns that led to wild price surges before, life-changing wealth for those who held on long enough. The answer is clear. Yes, you just love to see it. Honestly, the next ride is going to be insane. I have no doubt that many of you listening are on the verge of achieving life-changing wealth, and I fully plan to be right there with you. Here's a post from Waters Above that caught my attention. Dear XRP Army, the bottom for XRP should be in between June 4th and June 6th. After June 18th, expect a breakout straight to $10 by late July or early August. But watch out, June 3rd through 6th, we'll see heavy market manipulation. Now, no one can perfectly predict timing, but considering where we are in the cycle, this projection feels pretty plausible. It could truly happen at any moment. Double digits for XRP, that doesn't seem far-fetched at all. If anything, we might look back and think, yeah, we played it safe, time will tell, but hang tight, folks. There's a bit more sideways action ahead, but in my view, the best is absolutely yet to come. Quick reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't make any moves buying or selling based on what I say. That would be a seriously bad idea.